moving through that fear, moving with courage, but just keep moving. Like if you know within your heart this is what your compass is guiding you towards, go for it. Go for it. And if you do make a mistake, if you do make the wrong choice, guess what? You have the opportunity to start again, to try again.
Welcome to Women Thrive Season 5. This season, you can expect incredible conversations with women from all around the world. We at Women Thrive, not only do we put on incredible conversations with women, host events, retreats, publish a magazine, publish books, and we have created a platform for every woman to shine and share her message. So you right now tapping into a podcast that is globally recognized as the place for women to be and share their message. Be inspired, be part of the conversation, and let's thrive together. Hello and welcome to Women Thrive Podcast. My name is Ramonda Jan and I will be your host for today's episode. Today we're talking about looking at loss as an opportunity and how to get clarity in uncertainty during the times of change. And this is quite an interesting topic, maybe something unique that we're bringing to Women Thrive Podcast. Maybe you're transitioning in your life, maybe starting to experience loss in your life, and I notice it comes as a setback. So my lovely guest today offered this topic of discussion. I want to say hello to Dawn Gates as our guest. Welcome.
Hi, Ray. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Where are you joining from?
I am out of Maryland, right outside of DC in the United States.
Okay, amazing. Well, this is an interesting topic. And before we started recording, I was like, okay, I'm really curious to find out more and who this episode is going to be for, and we're going to delve right in for our listeners. But really, if you are going through life transitions, maybe you're a woman over 40, you're starting to see just life changes and experiences and losses, and some things may have caught you off guard and a little bit unexpected. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about finding clarity and uncertainty, and really during the times of change, how you can still stay focused, find peace of mind, and also purpose in everything that's happening around you. Now, my guest today is Dawn Gates, who is a pivot to passion transformational coach who is dedicated to helping women over 40 navigate life's changes, shift their mindset, and pivot towards their passion and purpose. And as an author, retired Army veteran, a motivational speaker, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility practitioner, she really equips women with the mindset and the tools and the courage that they need to lead with purpose, power, and authenticity. And I'm sure that you will enjoy this conversation, so do make sure you stay till the end. Dawn, so lovely to have you here, and tell me more about your story so our audience can get to know just, who you are really behind the woman that I just shared.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm excited to be here and share a little bit of my story. I have been through many different transitions in my life, suffered a lot of different times of loss, and I realized in those moments that there was no blueprint for how to navigate those spaces. There's nothing that says, here, take this step, take this turn, or do this. And so I really wanted to delve in and try to help women figure out those next steps and help empower them to realize that they have everything that they need within them to navigate those steps. It's a lifelong journey. It's life flows like a river. We're not meant to be static displays. And so I want to impart that to as many people as I can.
Yeah. And so you serve women more who are over 40, and you kind of mentioned that, particularly at that age, we start to go through various transitions. So speak into that a little bit.
Definitely. This is the era when you may find yourself in the position of being in the sandwich generation where you have younger children and then maybe elderly parents that you have to take care of. You become a caregiver on both ends. You may also be facing identity issues. You may become an empty nester, sending your kids off to college. A lot of women are going through divorce, different relationships. And also, on top of all of that, your body is starting to experience all these different changes that we're still trying to figure out and still trying to identify all the different ways that our body is trying to connect with us and tell us, hey, this is changing, this is happening. And so, with all of that, yes, I think women over 40 are definitely in a prime position where this is a space where we need the most support and most help in trying to navigate that space.
Yeah, as you say. And sometimes these changes are so unexpected, it kind of catches us off guard, as you said. We're
Yes,
just like, oh, okay, I'm stepping into kind of new season and all these
exactly.
changes. So it's interesting to navigate it. And what some of your own experiences of that transition and kind of a bit about your story?
Sure, sure. I became a mother later in life, so I now have a young toddler who runs my life. I've learned that the older I am, the less energy I have to follow behind and chase him and keep him from taking himself off the planet. I also have an aging mother, aging parents actually, and I'm starting to see signs and signals of things that I'm starting to navigate and wanting to bring her closer to either my home or nearby.
Mm.
Relationship challenges. I've been married for just over 7 years now, and figuring out who I am as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, and then also turmoil happening all within my body at the same time. And then also, we're at the age and stage where we're starting to lose people that we love a lot more frequently. I recently suffered a loss, and that really kind of shook my foundation, and having to focus and build off of that versus allowing myself to stay stuck in that space. And even in careers, I was a federal government worker until earlier this year, and having that moment kind of thrust upon me where I wasn't prepared. I had been in this career for over a decade, and
Wow.
then suddenly finding myself in a position where I had to make some changes that it wasn't on my radar, I wasn't thinking about. So having all of that for me personally in this past year alone is a lot. And there's ways to look at that as, oh my goodness, I've lost so much. I have so many things that I no longer have. But I had to reframe that thinking and realize that it's actually a doorway for me. It's actually another opportunity for me to look at my life and to reassess and figure out where I want it to go and how it aligns with me where I am right now.
Yeah. So you spoke about loss as an opportunity, which is an interesting way of seeing it. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, sure. I think it's easy in those moments of loss to simply just dwell in it and just stay there and think, well, what do I do now? But in those moments, it gives us an opportunity to reflect. That's usually the time when we are reflecting and most reflective. And in that moment, if you kind of take a step back and come out of yourself for a second, you can take a look at that situation and say, okay, this is where I was and this is where I am. Now, where do I want to go next?
Mm.
And really look at it as a moment of this is the moment, this is my time to be able to shift that gear or to pivot into the next phase and do it with intention so that it's not something that you just kind of fall into and stumble into without your full buy-in, without your full agency. It's something that you actually take stock in and say, okay, yes, I've had this loss. I am very emotional right now. How can I tap into that and channel it into something that will build upon it and be greater?
Yeah. A lot of times it's a wake-up call, isn't it? Whether we're suffering from a loss or facing health challenges or just come across things that, again, just unexpected life that happens to each and every one of us. It's an opportunity to then re-look at things and figure out what's really important. And maybe that's the moment when you really make a difference or change in your life. And
Absolutely.
have you have you worked with others who navigated this and maybe found a real big purpose and in these moments of change?
Yes. And in those moments, what I've found with those people that I've worked with is that they realized this was a moment of growth for them. Before the loss, they were in their comfort zone and they were snuggled up warm in their spaces and their ideals and their lifestyles. And when the loss hit, we navigated that space in a way that helped them to grow through it rather than to let it just overtake them and consume them. I think one of the biggest things that they learned is that having moments of loss and transition doesn't have to be the end of their story. It's really a turning of a page. Our book of life is so vast, and so we could stay stuck in the same chapter for a while. And it doesn't mean that it's the end. It just means that we have to start a new chapter. And change is hard. And I understand, and everyone understands that it's not easy, it's not simple. But on the other side of that change is so much great more reward and fulfillment if you're really intentional about it.
Yeah. And what were some of those changes? What did your clients go into, or what were the changes in their lives?
Sure. So some of the women I've worked with are prior military service members who are navigating the space. They've been doing this career for over 20 years now. And now they are having to transition into civilian workforce.
Mm,
And so having to navigate that space, even the language is different from when you're inside the military and versus out finding jobs. And then there's also been clients who have gone through relationship changes,
yeah.
divorce, where they are now be having to rely on themselves solely, their independence and figuring out who they are in that new space where they are no longer, in some cases, a wife, in some cases, a service member. It's hard, but it's not impossible.
Mm,
And the hard work helps them really see how much power they have within themselves, how strong they really are. I think that that's the biggest thing that I've seen with some of the clients I've worked with.
yeah, I think it's, as I say, when your back is against up against the wall, you have a reason to fight, right? So you have a
Yes,
reason to rise and then find your strength. Otherwise, we're kind of coasting in this comfort zone and say, okay, everything is fine. Maybe it's not fine, but there is no big reason to make a change until bam, something slaps you in the face and you're like,
exactly.
I've been kind of walking asleep all this time.
Right. And it really shows you what you're made of. I think sometimes it could be a whisper for some women where I just need to do something different. And then it could be, like you said, your back is up against the wall and you really have to fight for it. And that's in those moments, that's when you see how much power you truly have. I
Yeah.
think it's amazing and incredible to see that and watch that transformation.
Mm. As a coach and a mentor for women in that transformational period and for women pivoting, where do you come in? What is it that you able to help them do and unlock and achieve?
So I'm not simply an observer. I'm kind of a facilitator. I help these women figure out within themselves what they have, what they're working with, what their take stock of their inventory, and just kind of guide them through that process. Sometimes it's enough to have a supporting hand to say, hey, you can do this. You've got this. And sometimes it's a little more digging and saying, okay, well, have you thought about all of the different skills and skill sets that you bring to bear and what you could do with those things? Sometimes if you've been sort of languishing in that comfort zone for too long, you don't really tap into your passion or you don't remember what your passions are. So it's helping them to remind them of, you remember when you did this one thing that made you feel incredible and so powerful and strong? Try that again. What would it be like to venture into that again? What really drives you or what really wakes you up in the morning and gets you going? Some of those are the things that I try to impart. I'm not there to tell people what to do. That's not my job. But I am there to kind of help them see outside of themselves a little bit. Like, oh, you seem to light up when you talk about this particular activity that you're into. Have you thought about exploring that some more? That type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's powerful when you have someone who's able to reflect that back to you, who's able to inquire, just, okay, so let's open another door that maybe have been laying dormant and say,
Hmm.
okay, let's. open a little another secret box that you've got there, but you never dare to touch, right? Like your passion box.
Maybe I vocalize the inner voice that has been going in their head to say, oh, we like this thing. And then to hear it, like you said, reflected back to you, it's like, this is real. I could do this.
Mm.
Sometimes it's all it takes, just a little nudge.
Why do you think we as women need the permission sometimes to go
Oh,
for it?
yes, definitely, definitely. And we're conditioned that way. Like a lot of women have been raised that way
Yeah.
to be permissive versus, or to
Mm.
wait for permission versus taking that initiative and driving it because there's so many people that are impacted by the decisions that women make. And a lot of times we don't see how if we put ourselves in the forefront, how much more impactful that can be for the people that we love and support.
Wow, you touched on that. I think that's such a good point that we don't dare to put ourselves first. And yeah, we are so much more powerful and not in a bad way. If you look at
Yeah.
your mindset is like, oh, being powerful is bad. Well, no, because if you're empowered within yourself to make decisions that not only serves you, but also serves your community, your family, and everyone around you, then you're leading the way. Then you're becoming
Yes.
a leading voice that people can trust and know that you have their back. But first, you got to have your own back.
Exactly. And by showing that example, you are then giving other women permission to do the same thing. It's okay to lead. It's okay to be the forefront person out front who's taking control and navigating that space for yourself. I think we need more of that.
Yeah. What tips would you give to women who maybe navigating this growth season
Mhm. Mhm.
and maybe they've been everything to everyone, but not enough for themselves? And they're finding in this space where, like, okay, I'm starting to empty nest. Maybe now I have just life for me, but I'm still don't have the courage to kind of own it.
Yeah. Yeah. The first thing I would say is to really invest in some time with looking into yourself and
Mm,
figuring out what brings you peace, what drives your passion, and how you can align that to the purpose that you seek out. If you're seeking a purpose, right?
yeah.
And first thing is just figuring out you, really being open and vulnerable and saying, it's okay to think about myself right now. It's okay to care about my wants, my needs, my desires. What are those things? Let them rise to the top and actually take stock of those things. And then the next thing I would say is decide. Simply make that decision that you are going to do something different. And whatever the choice is, people get hung up on, well, what if I make the wrong choice or what if I do the wrong thing? You're never going to know what the outcome would have been if you pick something different. So in reality, it's really simply making that choice right. Whatever you decide to do, make it right. Make it the right choice for your life and for what you need.
Yeah. Sometimes either way, whichever way you go, if you make a choice, sometimes you can't win in one of those situations.
Right.
You have to keep on moving. And
Exactly.
that's the fact of life. You gotta keep on moving. Even if sometimes you don't know, you don't have all the steps, you gotta keep on moving. And sometimes you will make a mistake. You will have to figure it out. Not everything is gonna work out at the first step, or you may have never done this before and fear is holding you back. But I feel like from my own experience navigating various life situations, sometimes you just have to keep on moving and the staircase will start to show itself and
Hmm.
figure it out. And it's not going to be easy, but just keep on moving because that is
Exactly.
where the magic is. And that's where you overcome your fears and find the way forward.
Yes. I found that in most of the things I've done in my life, when I've done it scared, the outcome has been so much greater and I've
Yeah.
loved it. Like fear will be there. It'll always be there. That's not going anywhere. But doing it anyway and
Mm.
keeping that progression going, it's amazing what you can achieve.
Yeah, it opens a new doors of opportunity, especially I think I want to speak into the women who pivoting in their lives. And I've made some pivots in my life, like 360-degree turns, moving countries, leaving my home behind multiple times. And
Yes.
not every move was successful. And then, but I've learned something.
Hmm.
I've learned something, and I figured, okay, maybe this wasn't for me, and maybe found some wisdom within it. But I am grateful for the courage that I had to walk that walk. And as you say, when we walk that walk, when we take that first step, we give the courage and example for somebody else and almost permission to somebody else to do that too, to be a little bit bolder and more courageous and go after what they want.
Yes. And those steps don't have to be huge, momentous
Yeah.
changes. I would never suggest for anyone who has been in their comfort zone for a while to simply completely upend everything in one day. Small things, small steps that you take to change can impact you greatly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, moving through that fear, moving with courage, but just keep moving.
Mm.
Don't worry about what others say or think. Like if you know within your heart this is what your compass is guiding you towards, go for it. Go for it. And if you do make a mistake, if you do make the wrong choice, guess what? You have the opportunity to start again, to try again. And you learn. I love that you said that you learn from those experiences.
Yeah.
And that's invaluable.
So don't you navigated couple career changes. What was
Yes.
that like? And it's a big shift. As I say, you never thought your career would take a different form or change so much. So what was that like?
It was one of those things where before I stumbled into a lot of things. I didn't really take stock and say, this is what my passion aligns me towards. But along the way, I realized that that voice never goes away. And so I wound up in spaces that actually really were tied to the passions I had. The
Mm.
diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility space. That I've actually been doing that for over a decade now, which is incredible to me because the first time I heard about it, it was something I thought, well, why would anybody want to hear anything about what I had to say on that topic? And now I've been doing it for over a decade. But navigating all the different career spaces and challenges, it's actually, I look at it like an adventure. Each new first day is like an adventure. How can I support this new organization? How can I put forth the best version of myself? How can I reinvent whatever things I wanted to do differently in this new role? And I think I've done pretty well. But it's also been fun, and I've not been afraid to try different things and walk out, take a leap of faith.
Yeah. Well, that's why what you do is called pivot to passion, which is really aligning the women to their passions and making sure that they are not just following somebody else's blueprint to success or
Mhm.
life or career. They starting to really follow their passion and their heart and maybe that calling, that whisper that's been in their ear for a little while, but they haven't really answered the call yet. So maybe this is time.
Right, right. We have to listen. That's the first step. You listen to yourself. If
Yeah.
it keeps coming up, if it keeps bubbling up, explore that. Look into that and see why that is, and just go for it.
Amazing. Dawn, where do people connect with you the best?
I can be found on social media. I'm at the Dawn B. Gates on Instagram and Dawn B. Gates on LinkedIn.
Okay, amazing. Dawn B for Bravo.
B.
BK.
Bravo, yes.
Okay. And I know you mentioned something that you have a little something on your website for our listeners who want to maybe explore a bit further if they feel, oh, this was something really interesting. I want to explore more. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I do have a pivot to passion transition checklist. It's a quick one-sheeter that allows you to look at the different steps that you could take to see if you're on the right path, if you're really listening and aligning your passion with the things that you want to do. And it's a checklist that I'm offering to everyone. So I would love for people to check that out when they get a chance.
Okay. What's your website again?
Dawnbgates.com.
dawnbgates.com.
Mhm.
Amazing. And you will find all the information to connect with Dawn on her website. Check it out. I'm quite curious myself to just explore it. I think this whole evolvement and change, first of all, change will always happen in life, but then taking stock, taking a minute to pause and reevaluating is a great opportunity to realign back ourselves to the purpose of our lives and really the passions that we want to live and making sure that we're still on track. So I recommend this for anyone to do this regularly.
Yes, it's not a one-stop shop. It's a continuous flow throughout your life. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your last parting thought, a tip, something for ladies to walk away with from today's conversation?
I would just reiterate that if we reframe our mindset and think about loss as an opportunity in those moments, I know it's hard to
Mm,
take a step back, but in those emotional times, reevaluate what's really important for you and if you're still heading in that right space. And if you're not, what action are you going to take? Transition, again, is not the end of your story, it is just turning the page.
yeah, that's such a great advice and wisdom to have. So, because in those moments can feel dark and a little bit lost and alone, really. So, what I encourage our audience to do is reach out to Dawn if you wanted to have a private conversation, if you want to explore. Maybe you're looking for a bit of help or support. Dawn is here for you during those moments and beyond. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation today. Do make sure you tap into other episodes at Women Thrive. This is season 5, and we've got some amazing guests on so many diverse topics for business and life. And share this episode with somebody that you know. Who knows? Maybe somebody really needs to hear this right now. All the information that we talked about today will be in the show notes. So, a website for Dawn, dawnbgates.com, and her social media handles will be in the show notes. So, you can follow down below and find all of that information below. Dawn, thank you so much for being here. It was lovely to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, we look forward to seeing you on another episode at Women Thrive. See you soon. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Women Thrive Podcast. I'm so thankful for you as a listener for spending time with us, myself and my co-host Abigail, to hear our conversations with our guests. If you have had the opportunity to hear our podcast, do make sure you leave a review and share this episode with your audience as well. This has helped us reach the 5 top percent globally ranked podcasts, as well as reach more than 30,000 downloads to date. Your support means so much to us, and this is how we get to reach more people around the world. At Women Thrive Media, we're here to amplify voices of women and empower women to take the center stage and shine a spotlight on their messages.